Tommy?
The book.
We are live! What's going on, everybody? It's Tech Tuesday. We've got a new vehicle we're going to be doing a review of. It is the XP4 1000 Ultimate.
RZR
XP4 1000 Ultimates. Thank you, Mitchie.
Long names.
It is a very long name. We're just going to say it's a 4-seat XP1000 with Walker Evans shocks on it. But in order to talk about those shocks in that car, we got to go over to Justin Smith.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. But before I jump in, I figured I would ask you a little bit about your last week, pretty much. What have you been doing? Besides lack of sleep.
I was out in North Carolina at the new facility. We're implementing some new stuff out there, so I was out there to make sure everything was good.
Inventory?
Inventory and just a couple other odds and ends.
A little bit of training?
A little bit of training too.
You implemented some shipping stuff, so there's a ton of stuff getting shipped out.
Yep, we're gonna be starting to ship out.
They got a new sign. You know what that sign is? It's the first sign we've ever had on any building.
It looks pretty cool too. We should probably post it.
The most is actually, it's up.
Oh, is it up? Okay,
it
so
is.
we should
The most
probably
we've ever done is like a wrap on a window, you know, but I don't know, it feels pretty cool.
Looks really good.
Yeah. The complex wouldn't let us do a Shocky. They thought that was offensive.
It's offensive, guys. So
Yeah,
we're gonna
but the
send out a
logos-
petition to sign against Shocky being
The
offensive.
text is fine, but Shocky's a little bit too far over there. Conservatives
Yes.
in North Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah. But all right. Anyway, I'm sorry to sidetrack you a little bit, Steve.
But yes, I was in North Carolina, but I am back to the beautiful, dead, dry state of Phoenix, Arizona, and I love it here. But we got to talk about a new vehicle, Justin.
Yes. So this review is not actually like a full tilt, condensed review. We're just going to kind of give you our opinions, having after we have driven the new RZR. Mostly, Mitch is going to give you a ton of stuff. I don't have very much to offer. Also, Mitch and Ernie did most of the testing, most of the driving on this one. I was out of town, but he's got a lot to talk about. So if you guys are thinking about getting one of these, then he can kind of steer you in the right direction. Good and bad, because we got both to talk about. Mostly good, honestly, because it's pretty badass.
For sure, yeah.
Let's walk over there while we're chatting about it. So let's kind of set the story up from the start with this, right? We got this unit from Dom.
Anything off-road.
Anything off-road. Dealer of ours in Lake Havasu happened to have one, and they were awesome about letting us borrow this for a little bit. And they're coming in on Friday, actually, with a whole bunch of other dealers to do what we call a Shocky Day, which is kind of learning and training on some of our products, how to install it, set things up. And when they're here, they're going to pick this up and take it back to Havasu. So they were great with it.
Thanks to them for sure for letting us use it. That's awesome.
So kind of our plan when we get a new model in is we go drive it stock. We kind of get together and talk about what we like, what we don't like. And if it's fairly similar to some of the previous stuff, which in the case of this one, it does have some history with previous XPs, this is highly upgraded from there. There's a lot of new stuff on here, and you guys have probably seen some of the Polaris videos about all the details. And we're not going to go into a lot of the little stuff with the improvements on this. But when it comes to driving, ride quality, handling, ergonomics, how it feels, that kind of stuff, we're definitely going to give you that probably right now. Mitch, why don't you take over? Let's just start with like the visual. When we got this thing bone stock and you started walking around it, what were some of the things that you noticed right away?
Noticed it was pretty similar and similar. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty similar to kind of what we've always known and what we've always seen as far as XP1000 goes. Right?
Like from a geometry standpoint, design of trailing arms, para radius rods as opposed to any other like toe link design in the new Pro R.
Yep.
So it's a homage to the past,
right?
With some improvements to it.
Which made me pretty excited because we have a ton of time into these cars. We have a ton of experience with these cars. We've driven them a ton, and they are kind of the bread and butter to all of it. So exciting to see Polaris come out with another model of it and keep it going. So first off the bat, I mean, just the looks of the car. You get different lines in the body.
New body line, new doors, new fender, cage shape, cage design. That's one of the things I noticed right away. If you guys haven't, taken a look at one of these, then I'm going to point out a couple of the visuals on it. Extra support in an A, like an A-1 pillar, right? A pillar plus. extra support in the roof cage. So you've got not only a visor bar, but you got support behind the visor bar. It's kind of a double up system. You've got X bracing in the back that normally wouldn't be in one of these. You've got extra headroom in these without having it look like a really fugly cage, right?
Yeah.
Some of them just look like it was burp to give you some headroom, but this one's got a little bit better line to it.
Yeah.
Attachment points are badass. And inside the vehicle, I think I'll let you jump in there. Why don't you hop in there and point out a couple of things, Mitch?
Before we go there, one of my probably cooler things about it was the windshield is actually somewhat incorporated into the cage.
So there's a seal.
Yeah, which is
so on the front,
from previous stuff.
this is actually sealed with a lip on it, kind of like general cage design, where it's kind of extruded shaped material, so you've got something that recesses into it. Also, glass with open vents. Yep. And you guys are like, hey, why do I want vents on the bottom of my windshield? Well, what ends up happening with these, if you haven't driven them, is there ends up becoming kind of a vortex behind the windshield with air going around it. That vortex sucks dust in behind you, gets the back of your head and your ears dirty, and it sticks dust all up against the windshield on the inside. So if you just get a little bit of an opening, it breaks that vacuum and you don't get so much dust on the windshield.
Yeah.
Really smart.
I like that a lot.
Steve, you got something to add?
Justin, no, someone has a question. They want to know, on this new XP1000, is it the same chassis as the old chassis?
You know, there's lots, there's a lot of things that are the same. Geometric points, I think, are identical or very close when it comes to pivot points. Shock mounting is very similar, but there's a lot of upgrades. Yeah. So any of the weak spots in the previous chassis have been gusseted. Possibly, I mean, take a look at these areas right here. Normally these cage mounting points right here just have a little, like a triangular piece, max. Well, these triangular pieces have now become rolled on the inside and rolled on the outside. So this joint is easily 2 to 3 times stronger the way that this gusset system is designed. There's a lot of that throughout the chassis, so it is probably night and day better, even though geometrically it's probably very, very similar. Now, we didn't 3D scan the car, so I can't tell you if things are off an inch, but visually it looks very similar.
As soon as we started diving into it for just seeing what was what and making parts for it and everything, right off the bat you can tell that they spent some time trying to really strengthen some weak spots that the previous models have had. So pretty cool to see that, you know, building something better and something cooler. And
you know, why don't you dive into the front end real quick? I know we don't want to spend 45 minutes talking about all the things that we learned having driven it. We want to spread it out a little bit. But one thing that I noticed as soon as we pulled wheels and tires off this is you're looking at designs that you see in a Turbo S and newer when it comes to hubs, brakes, cooling, spindle design, bearing size, rock deflectors that come standard on the Turbo S to get rocks that are sitting on the inside of the wheel and might get you a flat by puncturing a wheel once it comes in wedges against the caliper. You've got clearing kind of grill work attached to that, so when the rock comes around it gets kicked out the side. A lot of the things that are learned on the bigger models came back down into this one and improved it. Yeah. So I like seeing that kind of stuff because, you know, driving in the desert we run into that a lot.
You can almost feel that driving it too. Like the car feels more solid and stable and wants to actually hold up to what you're putting it in, or putting it through, if you will. So
let's get back to the inside because we were talking about body work and stuff. Mitch, hop in. And first, the doors do not open suicide, but you still have a ton of room, right? So the back one's suicide, the front one's standard style. They relocated the cage vertical, that B pillar right in front of you right here has got a location and a dash design between the two that's really wide. So when you go to sit in there, you don't bang your knees on things, which is one of the reasons why the suicide door was always on here, because there wasn't an easy way to get in. That's super nice, especially for big fat guys like me.
So a couple things, I mean, that we noticed right off the bat. Number one, you don't have the screen in front of the steering wheel anymore. They did move it to the center of the car, and they actually kind of angled it a little bit towards you. So when you're driving this, at first it was kind of weird because you're so used to seeing the screen in front. The more you drive it, the more I liked it personally, because your view up in front of you driving the car is much greater, and you can still see the screen perfect. You get all the normal stuff that you would get with that, and then the storage. The storage in this car, you get a ton of storage. You get both sides now have places to put things. You have this little cubby down here. Pretty wide open and very comfortable, you know, just first getting into it and sitting in it. Which
Stereo seems to be, you know, built into it as opposed to like a bolt-on speaker in the past, but designed and molded into the dash. That's really bitchin'. Switch accessory options for the future.
There's actually 2 right down here too, which is really nice. So a little hint, if you do Fox RC2s with IQS, you can put your switch right there.
Electronic shocks, there you go.
One thing I don't like about sitting here is the foot spot for your left foot. There's not really a comfortable way to put your foot right here. When you're driving, it kind of hops around. But with that,
Would you prefer that to be higher or angled up? What would you?
I like it angled up a little bit more just to kind of match. And then more of like a platform to put your foot. This is very narrow and it doesn't really fit your foot comfortably, if you will. But with that, I mean, the width of the car and the way the doors are gives you a ton of room, so you can kind of move around, which kind of takes that away from it, if you will. Just very comfortable, and visibility is awesome. I've always loved the Polaris for that reason.
It seems like the fenders are a little bit lower in the front now, kind of dive down quicker so you don't have anything in your way. Another thing I noticed was the doors have an arc to them, or they're kind of a radius, right?
Yeah.
This whole framework is radiused out, which you can kind of see from the back or in the front. This isn't just the plastics that's giving you this wider angle from this point.
The whole door.
It actually is the framework. If you come to the back and look down the side of it, you can see that it's the inside of it as well. And that means that you've got a ton more room between the door and your legs, or the door looking straight down on it where your arm is. So you're not bouncing off of that stuff and you know, bruising your elbow.
I think they really thought of that when they did this, was making, you know, both sides, even the back too. If you sit in the back, it's comfortable too. You just feel like you have a lot of room inside the car, which is nice. So.
How about drivability, Mitch? I mean, we don't ever really care too much about the interior because we're looking to go, you know, fast through some rough stuff, typically. How does it feel compared to the previous older versions? And can you point out each individual thing that you noticed?
Feels a lot stronger. It feels more solid driving the car. Steering is awesome. The clutching in this thing is insane. It feels like you're almost driving a turbo car, which...
So when you say insane, you mean like it feels incredibly fast, or
rocket ship. Like
really?
From dead stop to the floor, it's like, let's go right now. Like, let's take off. Notice driving it, you're like 7,800 to 8,200 RPMs. It likes that. It's kind of its happy spot, and I believe it is a brand new clutch system for this car. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they nailed it on that side, and it is very impressive. I don't think you have any problems keeping up or driving it in the dunes or doing anything, you know, that you want to do with it. So
How's braking?
amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, no issues there. Pedal's not spongy. It just feels like a very tight, solid car, which is, I mean, you want that when you're looking at something.
Speaking of tight and solid, Dom has a question.
Mitch, does it have four-wheel drive locker?
I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure it's just two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive normal diff.
You got the key in there? Flick it, see what we get. Sorry guys, we're not crawling rocks very much, so you know when we're running, and most of our tests are in four-wheel drive, but we do go from two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive to see the difference in a spring package, valving package, when you go through the whoops, because there is a giant change in how suspension functions between two and four-wheel drive. But whether we have it in lock or not isn't one of our things on the list.
It's got to be like running to show that, but I'm pretty sure it's just a standard diff. I think it's two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive.
Well, if we're wrong on that, then somebody tell us, but
correct.
this is something we haven't played with.
Yep. No,
Big rearview mirror too.
Yeah, very happy with it. The visibility is awesome. For me, driving a car, being able to see in front is huge. And like I said, I didn't like the screen over here, but the more you drive it, the more you kind of like that, because your vision is much greater. So,
Well,
another really freaking cool thing
Yeah.
that we found is the
oh shit handle.
shit handle.
Go ahead and set it.
Actually has
Oh turd handle.
in it. So you
Really?
pop this out, and there's your tool to take your tire off if you ever get a flat.
That's pretty sick.
Pretty sweet. So
Love it.
we did notice that. Just cool little tricks and things that they threw into it when they were thinking about it. So pretty rad.
You know, was there anything else that was on your list of I just can't stand it? It kind of doesn't sound like it, especially when you're comparing to the older one.
I tried to think of that when we were driving it, spending a bunch of time in it. And for me, like comfortability and sitting in here and driving it is important, so I tried to pay attention to that. The foot thing is really my only big complaint with the car. Factory seat belts, not a big fan of the factory belts. If it were me, I would get different belts right off the bat, but again, personal opinion there. So, pretty impressed with it, to be honest with you. I really don't have a big list of complaints, honestly.
Awesome. Back to new and tight. Dom, you got a question?
Mitch, I got a Dennis Rozak is unrelated to the 1000. Any update on adjustable sway bar links? So, are they different? They're the same?
You mean unrelated to the 1000?
Yeah, he says unrelated.
Oh, well, I'm not sure how we answer that. So there are sway bar links on this vehicle, but we're not talking about the 1000. If you're talking adjustable, that's one thing. They're all adjustable. If you're talking electronic, we're almost to the point where this stuff's going to be produced. That's all I can say. Too many questions.
There it is.
Mitch, all right, hop out.
I'm gonna get out.
You look good in that thing.
Hey, if you guys don't have any more questions about how this thing performs, how it drives compared to the previous ones, and we can even go back and touch on anything you guys have, ask the question now. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about some of the stuff that we developed on this while testing, and all new parts for this new XP, right?
Yep.
So first and foremost, most people are going to do a spring kit.
Yep.
So we have new spring kit.
Yep. A couple new things going into that. New sliders, new stuff, new parts that we've kind of been working on and developing over the past couple months. Very similar, if you will, for just the way that we would do a spring kit. Still based off weight, still based off all that stuff, your driving style.
Weight accessories, passengers, yeah.
From this thing being stock to just a spring kit, the same thing that you would expect out of any factory car, the bucking, the plushness, the chop and chatter, the overall feel that you get driving it, significantly improved.
Ride height, which we hadn't had this long enough to see a ton of spring
Right.
settling and sag when the brand new spring, but
Right.
It's a pretty standard issue for most of these, so you can expect that, and these are going to give you the height that you lost.
Yep.
Steve, what do you got?
2 questions, Justin. First question is, how wide is this vehicle? Is it the same as the old XP1000s?
Good question, Mitch. Did you look that up? Because I did not.
I did not either, but I'm pretty sure it's a 64.
Okay.
Second question is, does this car come with Foxes at all?
It does not. There's basically 3 models to this car right now. You have the RZR XP Sport, you have the RZR XP Premium, which are both 2-seaters, and then you have the RZR XP4 1000 Ultimate, which is a 4-seater. All 3 of those come with walkers. That's it.
So factory option, there is no option. It's going to be a walker. But to answer your question, yes, you do have options with these. It's just not going to be at the dealership. Steve, thank you very much. And there you have another option for this vehicle. So we have done all the development work for Fox RC2s for this new XP. These are just badass. I mean, we can make the walkers work so much better than the factory setup that it's incredibly impressive. People are going to be very, very happy with a spring and internal work on this new XP. Really kind of a night and day difference. But if you want more than that, then you do have other options. You can do the Fox RC2s that we do have developed and ready to go. Yep. Complete valving, piston assembly, spring packages on a shock that is 3-way adjustable, rebound, and two compression, high and low speed. Yep. So lots of options. Really, really a lot of options.
Yeah.
Describe how these work, but in order to describe how these work, describe how the walkers start versus where they're at now, and then how these compare.
Yeah, I'll do my best. The walkers, I mean, you have negatives with those. Not trying to bash anything by any means, but getting them to basically go through the whoops good, jump good, land good, do everything that you want them to do good without having external adjustments is all internal, right? So
you got to take it apart to make it work right because the adjustments aren't there.
Getting it to that point does take a lot of time, a lot of driving, a lot of testing. It is amazing when it gets to that point. You throw these things on, start playing with it, you have all the adjustment in the world to kind of get you close to get you a better idea of what you need to do. So
The walkers have like rebound packing issues when they get into the needle and bump stage, and some other things that create some ride quality problems.
compression buck off of that. There's kind of a list that goes on with those. So having adjustment, and this is why this is my favorite shock, because you have high speed, low speed, and rebound that you can fine tune to your driving style, to your driving terrain.
It's plush and doesn't bottom out.
Correct, and it does everything that you basically ask it to.
Very, very cool.
It was impressive. Like these are pretty badass driving them. I mean, just from where they were to where they are now. Throw those on, get those valved, get those tuned, play with a couple clickers, and it is night and day. Just over what.
All right, Fox Archery 2's exit. Back to the vehicle. Mitch, we're up in the front, so we're talking about spring kit. We pretty much have those ready to go, dialed in for everybody's accessories.
Yep.
You do a spring kit, then maybe the next thing in line is going to be a limit strap, because people throw wheels and tires on these, right? Pretty much everybody does. Heavier wheel and tire means rebound speeds are faster. They're going to extend faster. You're going to catch clunk. And the new walkers do have a external spring, or a extension spring, not unlike some of the Fox designs, but the spring tension is a little bit light when it comes to an aftermarket wheel and tire.
Yeah.
So you're going to pick up a clunk. Clunk means you're going to end up breaking the shock eventually. Usually it rips the nut off the shaft at the piston. So to stop that is going to be a limit strap. Limit straps, Mitch.
So that was a new design from them, which is kind of cool to see. Just throwing stuff.
Improving.
But yeah, limit straps are done. Different length strap, a couple little different things going on there, but it is ready to rock and roll. Fully adjustable clevis. You don't ever have to basically buy another strap kit again. If you ever start to hear the clunk come back, you tighten up the clevis a little bit, and you're good to go. Like Justin said, especially if you're throwing different wheels and tires on it, throwing extra weight on it, stuff like that, it's going to affect the clunk. You're going to see that more regularly than you would with factory wheels and tires.
So you got spring kit, you got limit strap to cover any extension clunk. We also have internals. So what we call RIS, or Ride Improvement System, that's going to be the shock internal modifications, looking at valving, piston changes, a ton of different things, shaft modifications that we do inside this. But the walkers on this one are new and improved compared to the previous ones. So there's a lot of different changes that we have to do on the inside. Also, had to develop our own valving for this. Now, what does that mean? Well, you just can't buy the valving off the shelf that we have in this because we physically made it. So there is a difference when it comes to internal valving when you go from one shop to another. I would just suggest that you go with the guys, us, that have the most experience, have the most knowledge, have the dynos to prove it, and we have the manufacturing ability to make whatever we want to get it to do whatever you want it to do. So internals are done. You guys have RIS dialed in. Now that we're still in the front, internals, out of here. Next, yeah, the internals and all the new stuff we made for this. If you want to call Walker and get some of the stuff that's on the inside of this, not gonna happen. They don't make it, we make it. Okay, you've got sway bar and links.
Yep. It's still an adjustable sway bar. You get basically a softer position, a factory feeling position, if you will, and then a stiffer position. I don't know the percentages off the top of my head right now.
Those are 15% from hole to hole. And in the front hole, or the softest position, it is 15% stiffer than stock.
Perfect.
So you start 15, go another 15, 15.
Yep. And then our link on it. So basically it is adjustable. You can replace the rod ends if it were to ever happen. This is a new link, different length, different kind of design to it, just to make everything clear and cycle and do what it's supposed to on that side. Still the greasable joint, or the zerk, sorry, on the sway bar itself. Keep that thing nice and happy. The cool thing about the sway bars is it is adjustable to your driving style. So you don't have to have it in a set position just because your buddy has it there.
Hey, while you're there, why don't you show the new mounts that Polaris put in that front diff? Oh, yeah. Really bitchin'. Come down in that tight shot right there so you can see where Mitch is pointing at.
There, Chris. So this bolt right here that goes through the frame is actually the lower diff bolt that holds it there. And then there's also one up in here, which is pretty cool. It's a little different from them. I like the way that it's in there. It is very easy to remove. You don't have to get all the crap out on top of it to pull the diff out. Makes it very easy, makes it very simple, and it's strong.
Yeah, rubber mounted too, so you got less driveline noise. Yep. All kinds of cool stuff there.
We also have a rack ready to go for this.
Oh yeah, so you guys don't have that in the vehicle at the moment, but we've got
Have it in there.
developed another billet rack and pinion for this with tie rods, which are also not on this.
Yep.
But talk about tie rods.
So still gonna have our BSD style pin, so you can actually adjust the height of it to get the bump steer out of it. This car had like 2.5 inches in it.
Ooh, that's a lot.
So still kind of
2.5 inches factory,
Yeah.
and you were able to get that out to what, like
got it down to
quarter?
3/8 of an inch,
No, that's good.
which is right in that middle line of like a 50 and a 100,000 sheet. So,
Perfect.
but still cool. Still have that. You can actually adjust it, get all the bump out of it, makes the drive significantly better, much stronger, all that good stuff there.
Tie rod options, both for billet rack and pinion and also stock rack and pinion,
Correct.
but
Yep.
both of which with BSD.
Correct.
Yep. Awesome. We got some stuff in the back too.
We do. We got a bunch of stuff here.
All right, what do you got in the back? Mitch, do tell. Oh, by the way, before you start, by the way, you guys are kind of all bitching out. I don't see any questions about this thing. You really need to, step it up.
No, John Crowley's just not letting us do our job. He just keeps asking all the questions we get to. So, John,
Oh, I see.
calm down. Calm down.
All right, guys. Questions on this? Send it so we can answer those. And if we can't answer it, we'll find somebody that does. We'll go on the street and ask the local guy in the corner. Go ahead, Mitch.
Rear sway bar, just like the front, fully adjustable again. It is a different clamp, different mounting hardware. Polaris actually did update the sway bar mounting bracket on the frame.
So it's stronger than the rest, which they typically have weak spots
They
there.
break there all the time. So a little bit of a gusset going on in there, which is cool to see. But different clamp, different mounting hardware, adjustable bar, adjustable link. Basically allow you to fine tune the rear body roll to the front body roll, the front dive, the front corner feel. Allowed to adjust to your driving style.
A lot of people ask me about questions about that, Mitch, where,
All the time, too.
hey, why do I need a front versus a rear versus a front? And it's about driving style, you guys. If you're aggressive, you're going to be like the guy for a front bar. You really are, because coming into a corner on the brakes and turning is just going to dive it onto the outside tire. A bar can stop a ton of that. It'll keep the front flatter, which also plants the back tire, which means you've got more rear traction from a front bar. I know it's hard to understand, but front affects the rear, vice versa. You can throw too much on the front, too much on the rear. You pick up a loose condition, or you pick up a push when you turn in and it drives straight.
Yep.
But tuning it to your needs and how you drive, and the weight in the vehicle, how many people are in the back and the front, super important. Even if you run them in the loose position, if that's where you like it, that's where you like it. So you want to tune it for you.
Like cresting things, whether it's the dunes or like a berm or something in the desert, like just that feel of the car going from one side to the other makes a huge difference.
Flopping over or staying straight and then dropping over. Some people like one way or the other.
Yeah.
And some people like to disconnect the front so that the tire falls off the other side and the whole car doesn't flop. But that makes corners slower, typically. So it just depends on how you drive.
Yep. So adjustable for
All those reasons.
fine tuning what you want. Yeah.
Yep. So sway bar links.
Sway bar links. We do have rear limit straps for this as well. It's not on the car right now, but we have rear limit straps for that. Obviously, springs and valving for the rear too. And then we have billet and
Chromoly.
chromoly radius rods for this as well. So
Right now you're looking at a set of billet radius rods on there.
yep.
Take your pick, one or the other. We also get questions about that. Which one do I do?
Yeah.
Right? Well, neither one has breakage issues. They're both plenty strong. Typically in off-road racing, we're going to go chromoly, because even if you bend it, you can bend it back.
Yeah.
But we don't have breakage issues with either one of these at all. And so I would just choose whichever one you like the most, for the most part.
Yeah. Some guys, it's the look. They like the billet.
Sure.
Some guys are.
Sure, and I would do it too. If I was in the dunes, I'd go full chrome, full disco. And I want all the LEDs, I want the lights in the stereo and the disco ball just blasting.
The chrome will get you home for sure.
Yeah, right. What other stuff we have on this? We've got IQS.
Do you have IQS?
For this?
Yep. So with the RC2s, if you decide to do the RC2s, it is IQS compatible. It can all be wired in. You can put the switch wherever you want, basically converting it to a electronic style shock that is controlled from inside the cab. So Pretty cool. Walkers, you still have the high-speed compression, so you got to get out and adjust it for whatever you guys are riding in.
If you adjust it, sometimes you want to go stiffer, which would be new and stiff. Dom, you have a question?
Mitch, they're asking the old XP1000 versus this. Which one do you think would be smoother?
There's technically 3. You have the 14 to 16, then you have the 17 to 22, I believe, and then you have this one. I'd go with this one, personally. I really would. Updates and...
Chassis is more rigid, which means we can dial the shock in better. We're not dealing with everything else that's flexing. You've got stronger points. You've got front sway bar, an additional tunable thing you can deal with. Ergonomics even better, which, believe it or not, how you feel in the seat affects what your mind thinks the shocks are doing, to be honest. You bounce around the seat, you blame it on the shock. You tighten yourself up, all of a sudden shock works. These things are all part of it, and I think this vehicle has all of those to tighten that stuff up.
I agree.
And the next question they asked was, is it underpowered? I know you answered it earlier.
Oh no.
I do not think it's underpowered by any means. I think it's actually comparable, like I said, to a turbo car. Like, it's not as fast as a turbo car, but the immediate response from like a dead stop to up to 50, 60 miles an hour is like impressive. It really is. And I think I said it too, but it is brand new clutching that they put in this car. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah.
But you can tell, like it has its happy spot and it can stay there, and it is a rocket ship from dead stop to go. Even at 50, 60 miles an hour, if you still get into it, it still carries that momentum through it too. So
It's impressive because the previous ones didn't do it. You know, you get flat spots in the horsepower curve and between it and what the clutching's doing. Feels like they really nailed that.
yeah, very impressed with that. So.
All right, cool. Steve, what the heck are you thinking with that blank look? You know what you're thinking? Nobody is sending you questions, and you're like, I have nothing to say.
That is correct, Justin.
Question. Mitchell, what would this be for? Why would they put that there?
I mean, there's probably a couple reasons.
Extra gusseting, man. The back corner.
More strength.
You guys, the back corner and this front corner right here where all this extra bracing is, those are typically the smash or hit points if you roll this thing over. It's always going to bounce off those corners of the vehicle. You want the most strength in those spots. You know, if you start looking at racing regulations, when cage design, they're going to force you to throw not only one vertical in this, but you're going to have at least 2 or 3 gussets in the cage corners to strengthen that, because you don't want it to fold in, break up, break apart. So this is just one way to triangulate something and make it stronger in case you hit it.
And it's beefy too. Like
It's not a 1-inch, 065 piece of lightweight tubing. It's decent. And looks like it's also got some threaded mounts on it for other accessories. Wait, Steve? Are you excited?
I'm gonna be, because this is in all capitals, so I have to read it that way.
Are you gonna yell it?
Yeah, but Stevo714, this has nothing to do with the XP1000, but said, how wide is the Defender side-by-side Addicts built for you guys? Question mark.
Oh, okay. Steve-O! Damn, bro. I don't know, I didn't measure it.
It's the third time he's asked that question, so I figured I'd get it out.
I didn't measure it, man. Sorry, can't tell you.
If we were to measure it, we'd measure it from the base, and we'd get the widest measurement possible.
Always to the base, Steve.
Always.
Yeah, HR, that's for you. You're welcome. So I'll tell you what, I will measure it. Next time I see that thing, it'll probably be in a week or so. So yell back at us to remind us, and I'll tell you. Not today, though.
Yes.
What else you got, Steve?
Nothing,
Steve, you're just
Justin.
tired. You're just trying to get back onto your
So being 3
Carolina
hours,
time?
being 3 hours ahead throws me off, because I typically stay up till midnight.
Yeah.
But that's 3 o'clock out there, and then we had to get up at 6. So I was typically just getting naps the entire time I was out there. So I am a little tired today.
All right. I'll find you a spring bed around here somewhere you can crawl into.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, a little.
I'll be all right.
There's a.
Is that my little violin? I'm here.
Barely.
I'm here.
Mitch, is there anything else that you can throw at somebody? They're thinking about what they're going to buy tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. What haven't you talked about?
I was trying to think about that, honestly. It's an impressive car. It really is.
You know, in like 2 sentences, 10 words, wrap this thing up. And I mean, compared to a previous XP, what would you say in 10 words-ish?
10 words. Stronger chassis, better handling, better drivability, more visibility. All of our parts are ready to go for it.
Oh, well, that's personal preference, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's okay.
That's
yeah,
way
Go
over
for 20.
10, bro.
In other words, you really like it.
I do, I really do. And I was a little skeptical when it came out because it was, you know, when you see things as a picture and then you see them in person, you drive them, you get
sure.
totally a different feeling for it. And super pumped, very happy with it, and I think it went in the right direction for what they were trying to do with it.
Very good, Mitch. Steve, what do you got?
Justin, this is the first time I've ever heard of I've heard of a shout out from this place, but we have a greetings from Panama.
Ooh.
Wow.
All right.
And he
Panama.
says,
Very cool. Probably a little sticky down there right now.
It was, yeah, probably. Do I know how much adjustment I have to use in my adjustable rear sway bar links on my XDS X3 Turbo RR 2020?
Wow, that's a lot. All right, so adjustable rear sway bar. You've got two different kinds of adjustments. You can adjust the links up and down, left to right. That is not something you use to tune it. You want to put your vehicle on flat ground, as flat as you possibly can, and you want to have one link connected, and you take the other one with one bolt loose, and then adjust it to where it just slides onto the sway bar without any load side to side. You don't want one side loading the sway bar left or right when nobody's in it on flat ground. You want it's kind of a zero. And then after that, you're choosing the hole in the sway bar to adjust to. The hole far at the end of the bar as possible is the softest sway bar setting, which gives the most body roll. That's good for rock crawling and things like that, slow driving. Middle setting is going to be on a X3 is 25% stiffer. And then the forward most hole is 25% stiffer than that. The faster you drive on a graded road or a bermed road, you want the least amount of body roll as possible for speed, and that's when you would start using those. Hopefully I answered your Panamanian sway bar adjustability questions. See what I did right there? Pretty good. I got to the thesaurus when you weren't looking. Dom, send a stiffy.
It's really a question for Mitch. We've heard about what you do like about the car. Not that we want to rag on Polaris or anything, because they're all great cars. What don't you like about it is what they're asking.
I think there's two things that I said. The footrest.
Footrest and what else?
For some reason, I don't really know why. What was the other?
Seatbelt.
The seatbelts, yeah. I'm not a big fan of factory belts in any model.
They just don't seem to be comfortable. They slide off your shoulder, or they don't have a pad they cut in. They're narrow, and so you know, there's a slew of things. But there's a lot of reasons why they have to do it that way too. Got government regulation on this stuff, and but that's super easy for you guys to change. It's kind of like, you know, one out of the first 5 things anybody ever does to one of these is throw a set of seatbelts in it. So choose what you want.
Opposite of that, the other thing I forgot about that I really like is the bed. This is 4 bolts to take this whole section out.
Full access to the engine.
You can, I think it's, you know, more space in here to put things in and tie them down. They even give you like tie hooks on all 4 corners, which is nice. But yeah, 4 bolts, one here, one there, and one there. This whole thing comes out. You have access to whatever you want. I believe on the older models you only had like that top engine cover, so you get more access, more visibility to everything that you need.
Awesome. So to sum up your opinion about this is you've got 2 things that you didn't like. They sound like they're pretty small.
Very small.
I didn't keep track, but I'm guessing 20 or 30 things that are pretty awesome in your opinion about it, both in the performance side of things, the visual side of things, structural in the chassis.
Yep.
So if you guys have any questions about any of these, then hit us up. Mitch will answer any of your questions when it comes to opinions. But before we sign off, Steve has another question.
Grandpa John just tuned in.
Grandpa John.
He said, does the roll cage in the bed connect to the frame?
You mean as opposed to previous models where they might go to air?
I believe that is what G-Pod John is trying to hint towards there,
G-Pod.
Justin.
G-Pod John. Wow.
I like that. Well, to answer your question, I can see definitely cage is connected to the chassis, and look at all this extra gusseting at this joint right here. You guys have never seen that kind of gusseting on any previous XP. There's a ton of that in this chassis. I think that Polaris deserves to be proud of what they've done here. They've taken their time, waited a few years, taken everybody's input, and maybe some of the stuff that they've seen people put them through. They've added a ton to this. They've covered a lot of the issues that people might have, and they've even gone above and beyond that to cover issues that people don't know they have, or maybe things that they need to understand that they like. If like fenders dropped and other things. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, I can see better. Wow, I didn't even know I liked that, but they have it in there. So Polaris, kudos to you guys. You did a great job on this thing, I think.
Yeah, if you guys come across one, just take a walk around it and look at it and check.
Look at the details.
It's pretty impressive what they did. So
Awesome. Steve, Dom, you guys got anything else?
No.
No. Yeah, that's it.
everything for this car is live on the website, ready to go.
Really?
Yes.
That's like the first time we've ever talked about parts that they're actually available.
Yes, they are
Bam.
on the site, ready to go. Radius rods, spring kits, valving, sway bars.
That's good job, Mitch. Good job, Mike Green.
Yep.
Good job, Crowley.
Yep.
Thanks, you guys, for jumping in on that and getting everything timed out just right.
That's my plug. There we go.
There you go. Thank you. All right. If you guys have any questions about this vehicle, hit us up. Mitch will answer your questions, I hope. If you got questions about our products, hit us up. We'll all tell you about that stuff. And in the meantime, Steve can send us out. It's kind of like doom and gloom, tired Steve right now.
Not true, Justin. If you guys are looking to buy anything from us, please visit our website, www.shocktherapyusa.com, or give us a call, 623-217-4959.